All EDs are highly misunderstood by society, and you might be surprised to learn that there are a lot of commonalities between BED and RED, restrictive EDs. But there are some very surprising connections between the two of them, so make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, turn the bell on if you're feeling risky, and comment below, and let's get into the video. BED can be characterized by what feels like uncontrollable eating, which can be referred to as binge eating. Binging is different for every single person, but it can involve eating large amounts of food in a short amount of time, accompanied by large amounts of regret. You might feel like you have a loss of control. You might eat until you are uncomfortably full, eat in secret, and unfortunately, you might feel a certain disgust. And that's why it's so sad that there is such a stigma on BED, because unlike gluttony, this is a disorder. Restrictive EDs can consist of anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, orthorexia, and sometimes not otherwise specified feeding and eating disorder, which really can go either way depending on your symptoms. A lot of people who are uneducated are under the understanding that these people are concerned about their body image, which is true to an extent, but a lot of the time there are underlying motives. Some EDs, not only the red zone, can be triggered by traumatic life experiences, and you want a sense of control. Both BED and RED can be triggered by a desire for control of one's body and emotions. Behaviors can be triggered by emotional distress such as anxiety, depression, or trauma. Food is used as a coping mechanism to manage difficult emotions or numb emotional pain. In both EDs, you can have a body image concern. It's definitely a case-by-case basis, but some people with BED might turn to a binge and restrict cycle to make up for their binges, which might make the cycle go on. And the same goes for restrictive EDs. When you deprive your body of nutrients for X amount of time, there will be a natural coping mechanism within your brain where you might turn to binges. In both EDs, you might avoid body exposure due to things like body dysmorphia. Both individuals with BED and RED may engage in behaviors to avoid or hide their bodies, such as wearing loose clothing, avoiding social situations that involve food or body exposure, and not wanting to eat around other people. In both EDs, you might struggle from body dysmorphic disorder and obsess over certain aspects of your appearance. Perceived flaws cause significant distress and can lead to compulsive behavior such as excessive grooming, mirror checks, and seeking reassurance. When you struggle with body dysmorphic disorder, you might see yourself as larger than you are, and this causes you extreme distress. Sometimes this can be triggered by food. If you struggle with BED and had a binge, you might see yourself as much larger than you actually are, and same goes for restrictive EDs. With this emotional distress, people with BED might turn to binges, while people with restrictive EDs might turn to further behaviors. Both BED and RED may involve alterations in neurotransmitter systems in the brain, particularly those involved in mood regulation and appetite control. Imbalances in neurotransmitters such as serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine have been impacted in the development and maintenance of EDs. These imbalances can contribute to dysregulated eating behaviors. There are also genetic predispositions, such as if you have a family member who struggled with an ED or some kind of addiction. Studies have shown that individuals with a family history of EDs are at an increased risk of developing similar disorders themselves, and shared genetic vulnerabilities may contribute to the predisposition of certain EDs, such as impulsivity associated with BED or perfectionism, which is associated with RED. Food that is particularly high in fat and sugar can trigger your brain's reward system. This leads to a feeling of pleasure and reward for these eating behaviors. And for individuals with BED, especially if you're struggling with something like ADHD, you might have a heightened sensitivity to food rewards that may contribute to the drive to binge eat. In BED, you might consume an excess amount of food during a binge episode. This might lead to an intake of high-calorie, low-nutrient foods. This is why it's important not to restrict after a binge, because your body is still lacking in these vitamins and minerals. In contrast, individuals with RED might restrict their intake of certain food groups, leading to inadequate nutrient intake and deficiencies in key nutrients such as iron, calcium, and vitamins. Some people with BED might experience more anxiety and depression than the average person. On top of that, you might have feelings of guilt, shame, and loss of control associated with binge eating episodes. This also goes for people with restrictive eds. Heightened levels of anxiety and depression might be caused by or stem from the stress of rigid diet rules, fear of weight gain, and preoccupation with food and body image. Not every single person, but a lot of people with EDs might have a lower self-esteem. When you struggle with BED, you shouldn't, but you might feel ashamed or disgusted with yourself following a binge eating episode. This leads to feelings of inadequacy and dissatisfaction with one's life and appearance. This goes the same for RED. You might have a low self-esteem and body image. You might equate your worth for your ability to adhere to strict dietary rules or achieve a certain body size or shape. Obsessive thoughts about food and weight can further erode self-confidence and self-worth. Anyone can be influenced by it, even if it's not a diet. Sneaky ways diet culture disguises itself are as clean eating, healthy lifestyle, or wellness. But if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, and fish don't realize they are wet, we are surrounded by diet culture that we may not even realize, despite the fact that it is a $70 billion a year industry. More often than not, eating disorders innocently begin with a diet. Intentional weight loss efforts conflict with the body's natural set point range of weight. The diet then might get out of control and spirals into an ed. If there were no diet cultures, EDs would be much more rare. And when you have BED, diet culture has a promotion of restrictive dieting. Many popular diets emphasize strict food rules, calorie counting, and food restriction, which can trigger feelings of deprivation and lead to episodes of binge eating in susceptible individuals. The cycle of restrictive dieting followed by binge eating can contribute to the development and maintenance of BED. Diet culture often categorizes foods as good or bad based on their perceived healthiness and calorie content. This moralization of food can lead to feelings of guilt, shame, and anxiety surrounding eating choices. Individuals with BED may experience heightened feelings of guilt and shame after binge eating episodes, perpetuating negative emotions and reinforcing disordered eating behaviors. When a lot of people with BED go to the doctor for an actual health problem, sometimes they might get the very dismissive answer of just lose weight and then we'll look at it. Individuals with BED may engage in binge eating as a way to cope with the pressure to lose weight and achieve an idealized body shape. Also, society is getting better, but sometimes there is a demonization of larger bodies. Binge eating may serve as a coping mechanism for managing negative emotions and body dissatisfaction in the face of societal pressure to conform to unrealistic beauty standards. Along with, social media, where sometimes unrealistic restrictive eating habits can create a sense of inadequacy and fuel comparison among users. Exposure to these unrealistic standards can exacerbate body image concerns and trigger disorder eating behaviors, including binge eating in vulnerable individuals. And of course, we can see this on the RED side, where diet culture can perpetuate the notion that achieving a certain body size or shape is essential for happiness and self-worth. Demonization of certain foods leads to guilt, shame, and anxiety surrounding eating choices, driving individuals to restrict their intake of certain foods in an effort to adhere to strict dietary rules. Diet culture perpetuates weight bias and discrimination by stigmatizing larger bodies and equating thinness with moral virtue and self-discipline. Messages that promote weight loss as a marker of success or willpower can create a culture of shame and self-blame for individuals in larger bodies. The pressure to conform to societal beauty standards and avoid weight gain can fuel restrictive eating behaviors as individuals strive to achieve or maintain a socially acceptable body size. If you or someone you know is struggling with an ED, there are resources available. National Eating Disorder Association, or NEDA, offers a helpline, online chat support, and resources for individuals and families affected by EDs. You can also reach out to a professional. They can help you with assessment, treatment to be tailored to your specific needs. There is a huge stigma on every single ED. No ED is better than another. They're all horrible. But oftentimes, it's not your fault that you developed this disorder. Hopefully this video can spread awareness and the importance of seeking help and support. Recovery is possible, and you are definitely not alone in your struggle. By seeking help, accessing support, and fostering a supportive community, you can take steps towards reclaiming your health and well-being. Let's keep attempting to break the stigma. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, turn the bell on if you're feeling risky, and comment below. Thank you so much. Are there any commonalities or differences that you noticed that I didn't mention in this video? Make sure to consider becoming a member. It starts at 99 cents. And to my members, thank you so much for supporting my efforts on this channel. And to everyone, have a good day, night, whatever the case may be. Take care of yourselves and peace out.